So till now we learned in a firm there is a cost, there is a revenue, and the firm is trying to maximize the difference between the revenue and the cost, which is the profit. Now in this lecture we'll try to find a rule where a firm can maximize their profit. The problem for a firm is that selling more doesn't mean more profit. If selling more means more profit, why do you think some of the most coveted brands try to sell as little as possible? For example, some of the coveted brands like luxury cars or luxury uh, clothes, fashion clothes, why they try to sell so little? Because they are trying to maximize their profit, which is the gap between their revenue and the cost. Because if you sell less, that means you can charge a higher price, but too much high price means you are not going to sell enough. And also on the cost side, we saw the cost behaves in a very different way depending on how much units you are producing. For example, your average cost, average variable cost, and marginal cost turns out to be U-shaped. So we'll try to exploit all those ideas and try to find if there's a general rule which we can develop to find profit maximization. So what we are going to do is start with an exercise. So what I have given you here is a cost and revenue schedule for a firm. What you can see here is the quantities they are selling. So if they are selling 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 8 quantities, and you might wonder the price is given fixed at $6. So this is a very special situation where price is given and will vary price later, but in this particular situation price is given to be $6 and firm is trying to find out how many units to sell. Now you might be thinking, if $6 is the price, why don't you just sell 8 units? Because that's how you can maximize your profit or maximize your revenue at least. But the problem is that your cost might behave very differently. So if you remember, profit is the gap. Profit is revenue minus cost, and maximizing revenue does not mean maximizing profit. This is very, very important, because maximizing sales doesn't mean that you are maximizing your profit, because profit is the gap between revenue and the cost. So first we'll learn how to calculate all these things, which you have already done in your previous lectures. So we'll do it again. So we'll try to understand the schedule that presented above in an Excel sheet so that we can calculate all these stuff one by one. Again, the issue here is that the firm is trying to maximize their profit. So maximize profit, the cost is given, but let's try to find the revenue. We all know revenue is price times quantity, but the price is fixed here at $6. To make our life a little simpler, we'll be doing the complicated case of changing price later in the course. So let's try to first, so let's actually change the color here and let's try to do this. So price times quantity, which is 0. So if you don't sell anything, you don't earn any revenue. If I bring it down, that's your total revenue. And you can say, well, you maximize profit if you sell the most, if your revenue is the highest, which will not be true, because your cost behave differently depending on how many units you are selling. And always remember, profit is the gap between revenue and cost. But before we go into those details, before we calculate profit, so let's calculate this other stuff as well. Average revenue, which is total revenue over quantity. First one you don't have to worry. Second one is total revenue over quantity, which is 6. And again, we'll just pull it down. You'll not be surprised that average revenue is $6, which is the same thing as price. And the reason is simple, because if you sell one additional unit, how much is your price? Is $6, right? It doesn't change. Average is the same thing as the price. Same thing will do marginal revenue, and you'll not be surprised that marginal revenue is also $6. So let's try to do it. So marginal revenue is change in total revenue over change in quantity. And if you pull it down, that's your marginal revenue. Now marginal revenue is equal to total revenue equal to price, because what is marginal revenue? If you sell one additional unit, the maximum revenue is going to get is $6. That's why marginal revenue is also fixed in this particular case. Let's now calculate the marginal cost before we calculate profit. So let's calculate the marginal cost, which is change in total cost over change in quantity. So let's do change in total cost over change in quantity, and it starts with $2, and you can see here your marginal cost is increasing. Now finally, let's try to calculate profit, which is nothing but your total revenue minus total cost. And if I pull it down, and you can see here, interesting thing is that your profit is maximized at the quantity 5, and you are earning a profit of $7. If you want to go and sell the 6th unit, your profit actually decreases. So if you sell more, 8 units, your profit will be only $1. So sometime in real life, it's better to sell less than to sell more. So selling more does not mean that you are going to earn more profit. On the other hand, if you decide to sell less, suppose you are selling 2 units, in this case your profit will be $4. So you can see here you are maximizing profit at this quantity 5. Now next we'll try to understand something called a profit maximization condition in the next slide, and we'll try to understand that better. And what you see here is a profit maximization under this whole thing is already filled up, which we just did in the previous slide using an Excel sheet. And a couple of things you can observe here. That's your total revenue, that's your total cost, and where you maximize profit. Profit is the difference between total revenue and total cost. This is your profit, and you can see your profit is maximized at $7 when you sell 5 units. Unlike when initially you might have thought, well, sell more. At 8 units, you'll maximize profit. But if you sell 8 units, your profit is only $1. On the other hand, if you try to sell less, let's say 2, your profit is only $4. So you are maximizing profits when you are selling 5 units at a revenue of $30 and a total cost of $23, because your cost does vary with the number of units you are producing. So a couple of things we would like to focus here is that let's calculate this marginal revenue, which we all know change in total revenue over change in quantity. So we calculated marginal revenue, and obviously marginal revenue, since price is fixed, will be $6, because if you sell one additional unit, you'll get maximum $6. That's all you get because it's fixed. Average revenue is also fixed at $6 because it doesn't matter under if the price is fixed, your average and revenue, marginal revenue and price are same. Let's look at the marginal cost. What is marginal cost again? If you remember, marginal cost is change in total cost over change in quantity. And when we do it, it's interesting that first marginal cost here is actually increasing all the time. And when you reach the 5 units, that means you are selling. If you notice that your marginal revenue is same as marginal cost. So this is in economics is something called the profit maximization condition. So profit maximization means marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So let's using this. So profit maximization can also be described in terms of marginal revenue and marginal cost. That's what we did right now. And firm maximizes profits by choosing a point where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So this is your profit maximization condition. So next time if you want to find out your point where or quantity at which firms is going to maximize profit, all you have to find your marginal cost and marginal revenue. Just to give you an example, suppose you are running a coffee shop and you want to hire one additional barista, and suppose the barista costs you say $20 an hour. Now question you should be asking, should I hire that barista if it costs me another $20? You'll do it if and only if that barista is also bringing in at least $20 in revenue, because your cost per barista is just went up to $20. So it only makes sense to hire that person if that person brings in at least additional $20 of revenue, so you can just break even. That additional revenue is called marginal revenue, and that additional cost for the barista is the marginal cost. So let's try to understand this using a graph. This is a case where this is a case where your marginal cost is upward sloping. Typically the marginal cost is U-shaped. So we just focus on the upward sloping part of the U shape. And this is the marginal revenue. So marginal revenue here is downward sloping. That's what we did previously, but it can be flat as well. And you can see here, so here we have quantities measured here is increasing, and this is your marginal cost and marginal revenue. This is again quantity, so it's 1 to 1 here is matching up, and it's profit. And you can see here the profit is maximized at the point, if you come down, it's the maximum profit if they are producing around say 30 units, where MR equal to MC. So marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So we try to understand the same concept using a more complicated graph, where you can see here it's you have U-shaped average total cost, which is U-shaped, which we have done before. Again, U-shaped average variable cost, and also you have an upward sloping marginal cost. And this is the situation where price equal to marginal revenue equal to average revenue. So price is fixed at a certain point. And where do you maximize profit? You maximize profit at the point where your MR, or let's use some other color, MR intersects with your MC. So this is the point where MR equal to MC. So this is the point. So you should be producing so much. So you should be producing or selling Qmax units of output where MR equal to MC. So this is a very important concept in economics, at least for the theory of firms, because firms always maximize profit at the point where marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So you don't have to worry about anything. All you have to focus on your marginal revenue and marginal cost, and then you can easily find out where at what quantity you are maximizing your profits.